Commissioner Warren. I'd like to thank our President, Jonathan Holloway, and our Athletic Director, Pat Hobbs, for giving me the opportunity to stand here at this podium at Big Ten Media Days as the head coach at Rutgers. I go back to, this is my second stint at Rutgers, I go back to 2002. I was sitting in a small meeting room after a radio show, a weekly radio show, and I turned to one of the hosts. I said, you know what? We belong in the Big Ten. And it was a long journey to get to the Big Ten. And it occurred after I had left to go to Tampa Bay, and now to be back here as a member of the Big Ten at Rutgers. It's a dream come true. It's something that I worked very hard to accomplish. Didn't get it done, but eventually others got it done, and I'm very, very fortunate to be here. So with that, I'm really excited about the three young men that came with me to Indy. They're a great representation of our program. Noah Vedral, our quarterback, Bo Melton, wide receiver, and Olakule Falakasi, linebacker. I think that you'll enjoy visiting with them, and really fine players, but I think even more so great people. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
All right, we will start down here in the front.
Hey Greg, Dave Biddle from 24/7 Sports. Good to see you again. You've always recruited well at Rutgers. Seems like you have taken it to the next level. Maybe what do you attribute that to? And maybe what did you learn from your good friend, Urban Meyer?
Good to see you, Dave. We're excited about the way recruiting is going this second go-around. I think a couple things. Number one, we have a great staff. Eric Josephs, who leads our recruiting department, does an incredible job. Our staff works very, very hard at recruiting. And, you know, I really believe Rutgers in the Big Ten, what a great opportunity for young student athletes, right? To be in the New York metropolitan area, to be playing football at a great academic institution. You know, why shouldn't you go there, and not why should you? And I believe that. So it's easy for me to go and share that with young people and their families. It's easy for our coaching staff to do. I think when you look at our staff, they're people that really believe in Rutgers and what it's about and where we're headed. And you mentioned it was a great experience working with Urban. You know, I've said this before, I thought I was one of the hardest working recruiters in the business. And when I worked for Urban, I saw a guy that trumped me for sure. So I stole some ideas from him how to do things and the intensity that's required at the upper level in recruiting. So great experience, and I'm excited about the players we're bringing in. The thing that's most important to me is our place isn't for everybody. And I want the young people to know that, you know, we're very, very upfront. I tell our coaches, be the same guy when you're recruiting them as you're going to be when you coach them. And I think our guys do a tremendous job of that. And we make sure, you know, we're looking for unselfish guys that really love the game of football. And like is okay, but it doesn't work at our place. And as soon as we make that clear and we identify those guys, I think it narrows the pool, but it saves us a lot of time. And that's what I think our staff has done a great job of so far.
Coach, to your right, Ryan.
Coach, Ryan Saline from Greater Than the Game. What does CHOP mean to you?
CHOP, great question, and it's something that it's one of the three pieces of our culture. And CHOP is the ability to focus no matter what's going on. The mental and physical toughness to be able to stay focused on that spot on the tree, no matter what bombs are going off, because there's always bombs going off. You know, whether it's relationship issues, financial issues, academic issues, the opponent across the field, right? Those are all bombs that are going off. Can you stay focused on that spot and keep hitting that tree over and over and over again till eventually it falls? And then we take a rest, and then we go after the next tree. And if we can keep that kind of workman-like mentality with an unselfish group of young men, eventually we're going to get to where we want to.
Coach in the back, in front of the TV stand.
Coach Jason Jorgensen from KRVN Radio. What's the biggest thing that Noah Vedral has brought to your program, and has he been everything you hoped he'd be as a transfer quarterback?
Yeah, Noah was a tremendous addition, and it was during COVID. I was in my office. I was actually sitting in my home in Columbus, and he came into the portal. My recruiting guy shot me the video. I watched it and watched it, I don't know, 180 snaps. I said, this is the guy, we got to get him. He's going to be perfect for what we do offensively. And a 2-week process that ended with Noah committing and signing with us. And he's been everything that we were looking for. He's a tremendous student of the game, number one. Very, very smart. Can run our offense, can run the whole operation. We're a no-huddle outfit, and he runs it seamlessly. And I think having been in the system for a year, it's going to be even better going forward. And I think the other thing that he brings is he's got a respect of his teammates. He's an unselfish guy who's a giving guy and puts the team first. So when you have those traits, success is going to come.
Coach at 2 o'clock.
Hey, Coach, how you doing? Mike Moore with Sport on the Move with Sports Skills. I know recruiting is about getting the proper kids, the right kids, into your program. But being a Jersey native as myself, I love to see in-state recruits go to Rutgers and perform and do great things there. Do you have like a little extra incentive to kind of get these Jersey boys to stay home?
Without a doubt, Mike. I mean, it's well chronicled that New Jersey's been a hotbed of football, high school football, and college recruiting for a number of years, and people have gone different places. And that never worried me. You know, when we first got to Rutgers, it wasn't in vogue. This was back in 2001. It wasn't in vogue to go to Rutgers. We actually built our program with a majority of South Florida players. At one point, I think we had 39 scholarship players from South Florida. But then when we started to win, it became cool to go to Rutgers. And some of the best players in New Jersey started staying home and going to Rutgers. And the thing that I love is when we came back, I wouldn't say it was exactly where we left off, but we picked up pretty darn close to where we left off, and we've just kind of been going like that. Now, I understand it's going to have to happen on the field. I mean, that's what you get judged on. But I'm really pleased, and I truly believe if we bring the right people, and hopefully they're from New Jersey, New York, that metropolitan area, but we go elsewhere. If we bring the right people, the right cultural fits to our program, we're going to be fine.
Greg, James Cratch, NJ Advanced Media. We did the math. It's the first time in over a decade Rutgers has the same quarterback and offensive coordinator returning. How much of an impact can that be for the offense for the program?
Well, I think it's important. I'm pretty excited that you have the same head coach back, too. That helps me. But, yeah, I am excited. I think Sean Gleason is a tremendous part of our program. We worked very hard to get him. You know, he came from Oklahoma State, and there was points where I didn't know if he was actually going to come, and he's done a tremendous job. And then Noah, I spoke about earlier, you know, to have those two guys back working together, and they really do. They work hand in glove. They're excellent together. I love listening to them in meetings, and they're a great example for the other quarterbacks in the room, because we have some good young quarterbacks. So it's going to be a huge positive, and I agree. It's nice to have, you know, some continuity.
Any other questions for Coach Schiano? To the left.
Dustin Schutte, Saturday Tradition. Greg, you took over a Rutgers team that hadn't won a Big Ten game in a couple of years. You win 3 last season. Where has your team improved the most over the last year and a half there?
Well, that's a great question, Dustin. I think a couple ways. Number one, our team bought into our culture. And that was my number one criteria. If we were going to have what we would label a success, wasn't necessarily tied to the result right away. But what it was tied to is, did the culture get embedded in the program? Did our players own it? And they clearly have. And like I said, I think you'll see that with the 3 guys that came with me. But there's a whole bunch more back in Piscataway that are embedded in our culture, believe in the way we're doing things. And then certainly winning some games after not having won very many built their confidence, right? And they started to believe, you know what, we belong in this league. And as I told them, you do, guys. And it's just going to become more and more evident each and every year. And that's what I'm excited about, is that Rutgers, as I said, I felt all along that we belonged in this league from 2002 on, and to be here right now, I can't tell you how excited I am.
Coach at 2 o'clock.
Greg, Chris Eisman from the Bergen Record. Just to have Olakunle back for your defense, I mean, how big is that for the stability and what that means for that team?
Yeah, I think that may have been the biggest recruit we signed this year, right? The fact that he came back for one more season. He's a tremendous football player. He led the Big Ten in tackles. But more than that, he's a student of the game. And he's going to be a really, really fine professional football player because he loves it, he studies it, he lives the game, and takes care of himself the way that a pro football player takes care of himself. So he's a great example, not only his production on the field, but he's a great example for our younger players and for our newcomers that are just starting with us.
Any final questions for Coach Schiano? Yes, behind you on the left.
Gino Green from Post Game Central. What dynamic, if any, has changed now that you and PJ Fleck are coaching in the same conference?
Great question. Yeah, PJ is, I guess I'd say, a little brother. We worked together in two different places, at Rutgers and then again at Tampa. And I'm just so proud of the way that he has progressed. I mean, he's bypassed me by far. I mean, he's exciting. I enjoy watching him coach his team. I enjoy watching his teams play. And, I'm really, really proud of him. Very proud.
Other questions for Coach? Down on the left in the yellow shirt, please.
Hi, Greg. James Boyd, Herald and Review. I wanted to get your thoughts on NIL. Obviously, you've been at Rutgers way before any of this stuff was ever going to happen. So, what do you think about just how that changes the landscape of what things are, going to change in college football?
Well, I think it's obviously the big question right now. I think, number one, we're going to learn a lot more in the next 12 to 18 months, exactly how it's going to impact everything. I think it's a great thing for our student athletes, though. They deserve to be able to make income off of their name and likeness. I agree with that. I think the thing that it is even, I wouldn't say as much, but equally important, it's a great opportunity for us to educate them, right? We're injecting them into the free market society. There's so many lessons to be learned. Just the other day, we had a deep discussion about income tax. I think back to when I was 19 or 20 years old, I didn't understand income tax. I mean, wait a minute, that dollar, I don't actually get to keep that whole dollar, right? So to have that conversation, just to see their eyes, because when NIL became official, we had, and even before, we had a very, very concentrated audience. They wanted to know the facts. And what a great opportunity for all of us as coaches to teach our guys. Again, my whole thing is recruit and develop. Recruit the right guys for Rutgers, and then develop them in every area of their life so they can go be the husbands and fathers and successful people in society. Learning all this about finances, about free market, and trade, all that stuff, I think it's great for our student athletes.
Coach, thank you for your time and good luck this season.
Thank you.